What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Now, yes, I am wearing the same shirt as last video, but it has since been washed. Don't worry about it. But today, in this video, we're going to be going over the Week 26 predictions and finally having a look back at my Week 25 predictions to see how I got on. And I want to give a massive shout out to Ezekiel Kamau. I hope that's how you pronounce your name. He left his comments on the previous video and he did get the Man City and Arsenal score right. I was going to go with 3-1, but I decided to be ballsy and go 4-1 Man City, but it was 3-1 nonetheless. So if you want to get your comment featured, then be sure to leave your predictions down in the comments for what you think is going to happen in the upcoming fixtures. I'm not doing the Man City Everton game. That is a part of Week 27, but by the time our Week 27 video comes out, that game will have happened. So we're just going to skip that prediction entirely. Maybe for my own record's sake, I'll make a City Everton prediction and I'll let you know how I get on maybe in the Week 27 video, but that's not what we're doing today. Let's start with looking back at the Week 25 predictions and results. So kicking off, we had Tottenham versus Newcastle. I predicted that Tottenham would get the 2-1 win with a late winner, and they actually got the 1-0 win with a late winner. Son coming in clutch once again for Tottenham. So yeah, pretty good prediction there. The next game, Brighton versus Watford. I predicted actually that Brighton would manage to get the home win against Watford. I didn't hear much about this game. The reason being, it was a 0-0. I don't know if one team deserved to win it more than the other, but a 0-0 stalemate nonetheless is what happened. The next game is Burnley versus Southampton. I predicted Southampton would actually manage to get the away win 2-1, but thanks to Southampton coming back from a goal down, it was just a 1-1 draw. So not quite right on that one. The Chelsea versus Huddersfield game, I didn't think Chelsea would go as balls to the walls as they did. I thought they'd get a simple little 2-0 win, and they managed to walk away with a win of 5-0. So a big win for Chelsea. Maybe, although it is Huddersfield, maybe that was the game they needed to sort of turn the corner, because the race for top 4 is most definitely on. The next game, Crystal Palace versus Fulham. I predicted that Palace would get the home win 2-1. Fulham actually failed to find the net at all, and Palace won the game 2-0. So not a terrible prediction there. The next game was Everton versus Wolves. Everton at home. I still backed Wolves to win this game, and what do you know? They did. I've been really good at calling the Wolves results lately. I did say it would be a 1-0 win to Wolves. It was actually a 3-1 win to Wolves. So Wolves finally scoring a good amount of goals as well as winning. The next game, Cardiff versus Bournemouth. I got this one wrong. I thought Bournemouth were going to be able to go to Cardiff and get the away win, but so shaky Bournemouth. You know, they beat Chelsea 4-0 one week and they lose 2-0 to Cardiff another week. Obviously, that win meant a lot to Cardiff, and I think everyone was happy that Cardiff got the win. I mean, I live in Poole, which is right next to Bournemouth, so even I was kind of, you know, happy and glad for Cardiff that they could get that win. You know, I do like Cardiff. I like their spirit, and I like how they've coped in the Premier League with the resources that they have. The next game is Leicester versus Manchester United. I predicted a goal fest. 3-2 to Manchester United. It was actually 1-0 to Manchester United, although you could argue they were quite lucky to get away with 3 points there. They didn't play that well. I've seen a few Man United fans say that at the back, they play really well, Bay and Lindelof, and they did what they needed to keep the goals out. But honestly, I thought Eric Bay was, certainly towards the beginning of the game, looked kind of obviously rusty. He hasn't played a lot, but he was making quite a few errors. David De Gea made a couple of decent saves, but yeah, Man United managed to get the win nonetheless. The next game, Man City versus Arsenal. I predicted that Man City would win 4-1. They actually won 3-1. Arsenal just got absolutely destroyed. Sergio Aguero again scoring in the first minute of the game. So yeah, 1 goal out there, but nonetheless a right prediction, more or less anyway. The next game, West Ham versus Liverpool. I predicted it'd be a 2-0 win to Liverpool, and it was actually a 1-1 draw, but a lot of people think that West Ham should have got the win, given that Liverpool's goal was offside. And I'm telling you, I've said it from the beginning of the season. I said it in the middle of the season, even after Man City's terrible December. I said that Man City were going to win the league. I'm standing by that. I don't think Liverpool have the power that Man City do to go the distance. You know, Champions League is coming up. They'll be involved heavily with that. Man City have got an easier draw in the Champions League with Schalke, I think, and Liverpool have got Bayern Munich. Everything's just kind of tailored towards Man City. The pressure's on Liverpool. Man City are coming from behind. I still think Man City are going to win the league nonetheless. But either way, that is the end of the Week 25 look back. Now we move ahead to Week 26. I do just want to quickly say a massive thank you to all of you for all the support on the channel. It does mean the world. So coming up with Week 26, we're kicking it off. Fulham hosting Manchester United. Now I think Fulham, they're at home. I think they're going to score against Man United. Their defence at United still has a few questions to be asked. I think they're slowly, you know, tightening up at the back. And although I say their defence is, you know, not fully, you know, working, and it's not the best it could be, they still have a great record under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think they've only conceded 7 goals under him and scored 25 or 26, which is absolutely unreal, given that it's the same exact squad that Mourinho had that was just leaking goals for fun. I'm going to go with a 3-1 win to Manchester United away at Fulham. I think that'd be a great result for them. They have got winnable games. They need to win this game against Fulham because Chelsea have Man City. Arsenal, they do have Huddersfield, but Arsenal, they're just, you don't know what's going to happen with Arsenal at the moment. The next game is Crystal Palace versus West Ham. This was a tough one. Crystal Palace have been getting better lately. They are playing well. They managed to get the 2-0 win against Fulham last week at home. They're at home again this week. West Ham held Liverpool to a 1-1 draw, but West Ham are so erratic. Some weeks they're really good, some weeks they're just really not on song. So I'm just going to go with a 1-1 draw here, given that Palace, excluding last week, have struggled to find the net at their home ground at Selhurst Park. So I think I'm going to go with a 1-1 stalemate in this game. The next game is Huddersfield versus Arsenal. Now, it would be typical Arsenal to not get a result here against Huddersfield. And Huddersfield at home, that is probably their best chance of really getting anything done. I am going to go with a 2-1 away win to Arsenal, but if you're like me and you saw Arsenal at the weekend and you saw the article, Arsenal's away record, I know this isn't to the top 6, but they haven't won a single game away to Tottenham, Liverpool, City, Chelsea or Man United in the last 5 years. They're just Arsenal, man. Being an Arsenal fan is not easy. But yeah, I'm going to go with a 2-1 Arsenal win, but it actually wouldn't surprise me if somehow, even though Huddersfield got battered by Chelsea 5-0, it wouldn't surprise me if they nick a score draw here. And they're struggling to find the net, but I can still see them doing it. Obviously, Arsenal have injury worries. Maybe Huddersfield will get something out of this game at home. I don't know. The next game is Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Bournemouth, up and down, as always, erratic. A great team in the Premier League, usually good to watch, whether they're on the end of a beating or they are commanding the attack. Something always goes on in the Bournemouth games. I think Liverpool are going to try and play this a little bit more reserved. I think they have potential to absolutely smash Bournemouth like they did earlier on in the season. I think they did. But I'm going to go with a 2-0 home win to Liverpool. Them focusing on not letting a goal in and maybe just getting a couple goals. I think they're going to try and play more safe, to be honest, as they see they're dropping points, week in, week out recently. I think they're going to try and play it safe to get the 3 points rather than just try and beat City on goal difference, because it just doesn't look like that's going to happen at this point. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 win to Liverpool. The next game is Southampton versus Cardiff. I think a couple months ago, maybe at Cardiff's home ground, if the things were different, I'd maybe go for a draw here. But I think Southampton at home, with a new manager that they're performing very well under, I think they should get the win here against Cardiff. And I'm going to go with 2-1 to Southampton. The next game is Watford versus Everton. Everton have been really struggling. And Watford, they did draw 0-0 against Brighton. But I think at home it's going to be a different story. Away at Brighton is always a difficult fixture. And I think there's going to be not many goals in this. Obviously, I could be wrong. But I'm going to go with a 1-0 win to Watford, which is, weird. Like, at this point, the amount of times Everton have lost recently, you'd expect them to maybe bounce back. They only beat Huddersfield 1-0. But I just think they're going to lack what they need to really win this game. I think Watford are going to get the 1-0 win and keep Everton just right in the middle of the table. Nowhere near, really, the top 6 in terms of positioning at this point. The next game, Brighton hosting Burnley. Burnley are a difficult team to call. They managed to get a draw against Southampton. They actually took the lead, I believe. And Brighton obviously drew 0-0 with Watford. I'm going to go with another draw at home for Brighton. But this time, I'm going to go with 1-1. Yeah, I think I'm struggling to separate the two. I think maybe at home, Burnley could be a little bit stronger on the attack and maybe get the win against Brighton. But Brighton losing at home, even to anyone, is quite hard to see. So I think it is going to be a 1-1 draw. The next game, we're getting into some bigger games now. Tottenham versus Leicester. I've watched quite a bit of Tottenham and Leicester recently, actually. And Tottenham, they really are, they're scraping results, which is obvious that, they've got injury problems. And they are playing well, but I just think this is going to be a draw. I've seen Leicester play. They play well. They were unlucky to get nothing out of the United game. I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw. I think Leicester's defence at the start of games really lets them down. And I think they've conceded more goals than anyone in the Premier League in the first 15 minutes of the game. And I can see Tottenham, the attacking style team that they are, taking advantage of that. And Tottenham's games go one of two ways. There's either goals in the first half and quite a lot of goals in the game in general, like the Everton game, like, other games like that. Or they just win the game late on by a 1-goal winning margin, like in the Newcastle game recently. I think Tottenham are going to score in the first half, and I think it's going to be a goal fest. I'm going to go with 2-2 Tottenham and Leicester. That would be a great prediction to get right. The next game, Manchester City versus Chelsea. This one I think is going to be another goal fest. I think Chelsea are going to be firing from attack with their win over Huddersfield, and Man City are hot on the tail of Liverpool. This is the biggest game of the week. There's so much to play for. I'm going to go for a big ballsy prediction, a score prediction that I have never correctly predicted. I'm going to go with a 4-2 win to Man Manchester City. I think Chelsea are going to be decent on the counter-attack, but I think Man City are just going to push them too hard, whipping those crosses in, getting those tap-ins and scoring the goals. I'm predicting a good game for Kevin De Bruyne to command the midfield. I think they're going to do very, very well against Chelsea, especially at home, and they need this win if they're to catch up to Liverpool. The final game, Wolves versus Newcastle. Wolves, great team. I love them. Orange, you know, for a neutral, Wolves are a very good club. I like them, just their spirit. I like everything about them. And they are playing Newcastle at home, and they've been doing very, very well lately, picking up wins against Everton, against West Ham, both of which I predicted. And I'm going for another Wolves win here against Newcastle. I think Newcastle will start the game fairly defensively and try and push them on the counter-attack, but I think Wolves are just going to be too strong on the attack, and I'm going to go with a 2-0 win to Wolves. So that is going to do it for my Week 26 predictions. If you did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like on it. Leave your comments down below for a chance to be featured in the next week's episode. Thank you so much for the support. Subscribe today, turn on the bell so you don't miss a single upload. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video very soon.